6-month-old paralyzed baby asleep. What the puppy did next will leave you in awe. A miracle. It started as just another quiet night in the house, the kind Claire and Daniel had grown used to. The faint glow of a nightlight illuminated the nursery, where 6-month-old Liam lay in his crib. His tiny body was still, his legs unmoving. He had been paralyzed for months, and despite countless visits to doctors and specialists, there was no cure in sight. But something extraordinary was about to happen that no one could have predicted. As Liam drifted into sleep, their puppy, Max, did something that would leave everyone in tears and change their lives forever. Outside the nursery, Claire sat on the living room couch, her hands clutching a blanket that once swaddled her healthy, lively baby boy. Silent tears ran down her face as she turned to Daniel, who sat beside her, staring blankly at the floor. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice breaking, "I don't know how much more I can take. I pray every night for something, anything to change." But her voice trailed off, heavy with despair. Daniel glanced at her, his face etched with exhaustion. "I know," he said softly. "I feel the same, but we have to keep hoping. For Liam's sake." Their words hung in the air, heavy with doubt. In the corner of the room, their golden retriever puppy, Max, watched them intently. He wagged his tail softly, his bright eyes darting between the grieving parents and the nursery door. Max had always been drawn to Liam, spending hours by his crib, as though he understood the baby needed him. That night, however, was different. Max seemed restless, pacing back and forth near Liam's crib before curling up beside it. Claire noticed the puppy's behavior but thought little of it. "At least Max brings Liam some comfort," she muttered. "He seems to love him in a way we can't even explain." But what no one knew was that Max wasn't just a comforting presence. He was about to do something so incredible, so miraculous, that it would leave everyone speechless. This wasn't just a story about a family's struggle. It was the beginning of a moment that would restore their hope and remind them that miracles do happen in the most unexpected ways. Liam was once a healthy, vibrant baby who brought joy to his parents, Claire and Daniel. From the moment he was born, his big eyes sparkled with curiosity, and his little hands grasped onto their fingers with strength. But that all changed at 3 months old. One morning, Claire noticed something unusual. Liam wasn't kicking his legs like he usually did, and his tiny body was unusually still. She tried to shake it off at first. Maybe he was just tired or having an off day. But as the days went by, Liam showed no signs of improvement. In fact, he became weaker. Concern turned to panic, and the couple rushed him to the hospital. After a series of tests, the doctors delivered the heartbreaking news. Liam had a rare form of paralysis, and there was no clear cause or cure. His prognosis was uncertain, and the future seemed impossibly bleak. Liam's condition left his parents devastated. They spent every day hoping and praying for a miracle. But with each passing day, the reality of their situation sank deeper. The joy they once had in their home now felt like a distant memory. They tried to stay strong for Liam, but the weight of their helplessness often felt overwhelming. Claire and Daniel's lives were consumed by Liam's condition. Every day was filled with doctor visits, therapy appointments, and endless research in search of a treatment that might help. But with no progress, their hope began to fade. The emotional toll it took on them was immense. Claire couldn't remember the last time she'd felt truly at peace. Daniel tried to focus on his work to escape the overwhelming sadness at home, but nothing could distract him from the pain of watching his son struggle. Their marriage, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, began to feel the strain. Late nights were spent whispering to each other, trying to hold onto the small shred of hope they had left. Yet deep down they both feared the worst. The tension was constant. The joy that a baby usually brings to a family had turned to sorrow, and Claire and Daniel couldn't help but feel they were losing each other in the process. In the midst of all the darkness, something unexpected happened. Claire's sister, seeing how much they were struggling, decided to surprise them with a small golden retriever puppy. Max was his name. At first, the puppy seemed like a small distraction from their overwhelming pain. Claire wasn't sure a dog could make any difference in their current situation, but she was willing to try anything that might bring some comfort. From the moment Max entered their home, something shifted. He was full of energy, constantly wagging his tail, and yet, he seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. Max immediately took a liking to Liam. Every day, he would sit quietly beside the crib, his head resting against the bars as if keeping a silent watch over the baby. There were moments when Max would nudge Liam's hand or curl up near him, offering comfort in the way only a puppy could. Though the family's pain remained, Max brought small moments of joy and peace that Claire and Daniel hadn't felt in months. And even though they couldn't explain it, they both felt that Max's presence was something special, something that could help them hold on just a little longer. But even they didn't realize how much the puppy's love would soon change their lives in ways they couldn't have imagined. From the very beginning, Max's attachment to Liam was unusual. While most puppies would bounce around the house, eager to explore their new environment, Max's behavior was different. He always gravitated towards Liam's crib. Every day, without fail, Max would sit beside the crib, his small body curled up tightly, watching over the baby with an unwavering focus. At first, Claire and Daniel thought it was just a phase, a puppy's instinct to be near someone new in the house. But as the days turned into weeks, the pattern became undeniable. Max wasn't just curious about Liam. It was as though he was drawn to him, like he knew Liam needed him. There were moments when Max would softly nudge the bars of the crib with his nose, almost as if trying to gently wake Liam or offer comfort when the baby became restless. His soft, rhythmic breathing was a contrast to Liam's stillness, a small sign of life in a room that felt too quiet. Even more remarkable was the way Max seemed to sense when Claire or Daniel were upset. If they had a particularly hard day, Max would approach them, pressing his head against their legs, as if offering silent reassurance. His eyes, deep and full of understanding, seemed to say everything that words couldn't. To Claire and Daniel, Max wasn't just a puppy, he was a lifeline. Over time, Max's bond with Liam only grew stronger. He became more than just a pet. He was a constant presence in the baby's life. Every night, when the household fell into silence, Max would settle beside Liam's crib, keeping watch. The little puppy would lie still, his ears perked, listening for any signs of distress from Liam. Though Liam couldn't move, the bond between them was unmistakable. On particularly hard days, when Liam would show signs of discomfort or cry in his sleep, Max would quietly step forward, his tiny paws gently tapping the edge of the crib. He never made a sound, just a soft, comforting presence. His mere proximity seemed to calm the baby, offering him a sense of security that no one else could provide. Claire and Daniel had often heard about the special bond between animals and children, but they had never truly understood it until they saw Max with Liam. It wasn't just a bond, it was something deeper. Max wasn't just keeping Liam company. He was watching over him, guarding him in a way no one else could. Max's love was quiet but powerful, and though the puppy couldn't speak a word, he communicated more than enough through his actions. It was a love that didn't need words to be understood, and it gave Claire and Daniel a sense of peace they hadn't felt in months. Little did they know, this silent guardian was about to play a role in a miracle that would leave them speechless. It was a night like many others, quiet, still, and filled with the weight of unspoken worries. Claire and Daniel sat together on the couch, the soft hum of the house the only sound breaking the silence. Outside, the wind howled softly, but inside, the house felt almost suffocating, as if the very walls were closing in on them with the weight of their unspoken fears. Liam, their precious baby boy, lay in his crib, his body still as always. His small chest rose and fell with each breath, but his legs remained unmoving, as they had for months. Claire couldn't tear her eyes away from him. Every night, she would sit there, staring at Liam and praying for a miracle. But the longer she watched, the more the feeling of helplessness crept in. "How long can we keep doing this?" she whispered softly, the question hanging in the air like a heavy burden. Daniel, sitting beside her, didn't have an answer. His face was etched with exhaustion and sorrow, but he squeezed her hand gently. Max, their golden retriever puppy, was also in the room, but he was far from his usual playful self. Instead, he sat quietly in the corner, his eyes fixed on Liam. For reasons Claire couldn't explain, Max's presence had always been comforting, a soft reminder that they weren't alone in their struggle. The puppy was like a quiet, steadfast pillar of hope in a sea of uncertainty. But tonight, there was something different about him. As Claire wiped away a tear, she caught sight of Max. The puppy was pacing around the room, his usual calm demeanor replaced by restlessness. He went to the door, then back to Liam's crib, then back to the door again. This odd behavior seemed out of place, but Claire brushed it off at first. "Max, what are you doing?" she asked softly, but the puppy didn't respond. Instead, he seemed more focused than ever, almost as if he was trying to communicate something. Daniel noticed it too. "He's acting strange tonight. Have you ever seen him like this before?" Claire shook her head. "No, it's like he's trying to tell us something, but what?" As the minutes passed, Max's actions grew more frantic. He moved from one side of the room to the other, his eyes never leaving Liam's crib. Then, without warning, he darted towards the nursery door and began scratching at it with his paws. His small whimpers echoed through the quiet house. Claire stood up and moved toward the door, unsure of what to make of Max's behavior. "Max, what's wrong?" she murmured, gently petting him. But the puppy didn't calm down. Instead, he continued to paw at the door, his body vibrating with urgency. With a deep breath, Claire opened the door, but Max didn't move. He just stood there, eyes locked on Liam's crib. It was almost as if the puppy was waiting for something, waiting for a sign. Claire's heart raced in her chest, a mix of confusion and anticipation settling in. Could it be? Could Max know something she didn't? She turned back to Liam, his small body lying so still, his face serene in sleep. For a moment, everything felt frozen in time. But then, without warning, Max did something unexpected. He trotted over to Liam's crib, nudging the bars gently with his nose. At first, Claire thought he might just be trying to get Liam's attention. But as she watched, Max did something more. He curled up beside the crib, his head resting gently against the bars. What happened next would change everything. The room fell silent again. For what felt like an eternity, Claire and Daniel watched, unsure of what to expect. But then, a miracle unfolded before their eyes. As Max lay next to Liam's crib, something remarkable began to happen. Liam's tiny hand, which had remained still for months, began to twitch. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, his fingers moved. Claire's breath caught in her throat. "Daniel, look!" she gasped, her voice trembling with disbelief. For a moment, nothing else seemed real. It was as if time had stopped. Liam's fingers twitched again, and then his entire hand moved, lifting ever so slightly from the crib. Max's steady presence seemed to be having an effect on him. With every movement of Max's head, every gentle nudge of his nose, Liam's body responded. Then, as if the weight of all their fears and worries had been lifted, Liam's legs twitched. A small, miraculous movement that Claire and Daniel had been praying for. It was subtle, but it was real. It was a sign, a glimmer of hope that they hadn't dared to believe in for so long. Tears welled up in Claire's eyes as she stepped closer to Liam's crib, her hands trembling as she reached out. "He's moving," she whispered in awe, her voice barely audible. Daniel stood beside her, equally stunned, his hand on her shoulder. Max, sensing the shift, let out a soft bark and wagged his tail. He looked up at Claire, then at Liam as if to say, "I knew it. I told you." It was a moment of pure, unexplainable magic. A moment when everything seemed possible again. The puppy's simple presence, his unwavering love, had sparked something deep within Liam. And in that moment, the impossible seemed to become possible. The miracle was unfolding before their eyes, and their lives would never be the same again. In the days that followed the miracle, Liam's progress was nothing short of extraordinary. What had once seemed impossible, movements that were once mere dreams, began to take shape in front of their eyes. At first, it was subtle, a finger twitching, a foot shifting slightly. But soon, as the days passed, the small movements became more pronounced. Liam's hands, which had once been lifeless, started to grasp at the air, his fingers curling around his favorite soft blanket with a strength that Claire and Daniel thought they'd never see. Each new sign of life felt like a victory, and with every small improvement, their hearts swelled with hope. Max's presence continued to be a constant source of support. Whenever Liam showed signs of frustration or exhaustion, Max was there, quietly sitting by his side, offering the kind of comfort only a dog could provide. Claire couldn't help but marvel at the way Liam's body seemed to respond to the gentle encouragement of Max's presence. It was as though the puppy's love was a source of healing in ways they couldn't explain. The baby's gradual recovery became a journey of small miracles. Each movement, each gesture, each new day a reminder that there was still hope, even in the darkest of times. Liam's physical therapists were astonished at the progress he was making. What had been deemed a long-term or even permanent condition was now showing signs of reversing, something they hadn't expected to see for months, if not years. They attributed it to Liam's sheer willpower, his parents' unwavering love, and the support of their loyal puppy Max. For Claire and Daniel, the journey of recovery was a bittersweet one. As they watched their son make incredible progress, they couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. The road to this point had been filled with moments of despair, days when they questioned whether their little boy would ever know what it felt like to run or play. But with every step forward, with every inch of improvement, that feeling of hopelessness started to fade away. They had spent so many nights sitting by Liam's crib, their hearts heavy with fear and uncertainty. But now, they spent their nights watching Liam move, listening to his baby giggles, and feeling the light return to their home. Their once somber, quiet house had transformed into a place of joy and hope, where every day brought something new, something miraculous. Max, too, had played an enormous role in their renewed hope. In the beginning, it had been hard to believe that a puppy could bring about such a shift. But now, Claire and Daniel couldn't imagine their lives without him. He had become the light in their darkest hours, the silent guardian who had brought Liam back to life in ways that science couldn't explain. As Max lay next to Liam's crib at night, watching over him as always, Claire and Daniel knew that this puppy had not only saved their son's life, he had saved them, too. He had reminded them that there was always hope, even when things seemed impossible. He had given them the strength to believe in a future they thought they had lost. The bond between Max and Liam continued to grow stronger with each passing day. What had begun as a quiet, almost inexplicable connection had evolved into something deeper, something more profound. Max wasn't just a pet to Liam. He was his protector, his best friend, his miracle worker. It was as though Max understood the weight of what had happened. Every time Liam moved, even the slightest bit, Max would wag his tail with excitement, as if celebrating each victory. The puppy would nudge Liam's hand with his nose, gently reminding him that he wasn't alone in this journey. As Liam began to sit up on his own and hold his head steady, Max would sit beside him, as if offering his support, never straying too far. Whenever Liam would laugh, Max would bark joyfully, jumping up and down as if joining in on the celebration. It was clear to anyone who saw them that they weren't just two beings sharing a space. They were two souls connected by an unbreakable bond, a bond that went beyond words, beyond explanations. For Claire and Daniel, witnessing this bond was a daily reminder of how far they had come. It was a bond built on trust, love, and unwavering faith, a bond that had brought their son back from the brink of hopelessness. As they looked at Max and Liam, side by side, they knew that no matter what the future held, they had found something truly special, something miraculous. The puppy, the baby, and the parents. A family united not just by blood, but by the incredible, life-changing power of love. As Claire and Daniel sat together on the couch, watching Liam play with Max, their hearts were filled with a mixture of gratitude and awe. The road they had walked, painful, uncertain, and filled with heartbreaking moments, had ultimately led them to a place they never imagined. It was a place of joy, of hope, and most of all, of love. "We don't have all the answers," Claire said softly, looking down at Liam and Mac, "but we do know one thing for sure. Love is powerful." It's more powerful than any diagnosis, any fear, any obstacle. She wiped away a tear, her voice filled with emotion. Max gave us something we thought we had lost. Hope. And that hope turned into a miracle. Daniel nodded in agreement, his eyes glistening. What we've learned is that you never give up, no matter how impossible it seems. You hold on to hope, and you trust in the love around you. And sometimes, when you least expect it, that love brings miracles into your life. Their message was simple but profound. Love has the power to heal, to guide, and to inspire, even when it feels like all hope is gone. It wasn't just the love between them as parents that made the difference. It was also the love of a puppy, a silent, loyal companion who had never given up on their son, even when the world had. In a world full of uncertainty, their story was a testament to the incredible impact that love, whether from a family, a pet, or even a stranger, can have on a life. The story of Liam and Max isn't just about a baby's miraculous recovery. It's about the power of love, the unspoken bond between humans and animals, and the profound ways in which life can surprise us. For the audience, there's a deeper lesson to be learned. In our everyday lives, we often face challenges that seem insurmountable, whether it's personal struggles, health battles, or moments of despair. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to question whether things will ever get better. But Liam's story reminds us that sometimes, miracles come in unexpected forms. It teaches us that love, whether from a human or an animal, has the power to heal in ways we cannot fully comprehend. It shows us that when we open our hearts to others, when we extend kindness, empathy, and support, we invite miracles into our lives, no matter how small they may seem. As you reflect on this story, take a moment to think about the people and pets in your life who have brought you hope, comfort, and strength. What if, like Max, they are the quiet guardians who are helping you heal in ways you can't yet see? The moral of this story is clear. Never underestimate the power of love. Whether it's from a loyal pet or the people around you, love has the potential to change everything, even bring miracles when you need them most. Hold on to hope, keep believing, and remember that sometimes, the greatest miracles come from the simplest acts of love. As the story of Liam and Max comes to a close, it leaves us with powerful emotions and a sense of wonder. But now we want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment in your life when love or an unexpected miracle changed everything? Maybe it was a pet who brought comfort during a difficult time or a loved one who showed you the strength you didn't know you had. We'd love to know your story. Comment below and share your experiences with us. Your story could inspire others who may need a reminder of the power of love and hope. If you were moved by the story of Liam and Max, don't forget to like this video and share it with friends and family who might also need a dose of inspiration and hope today. And make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more heartwarming stories like this one. Together, we can create a community that celebrates love, healing, and miracles. Remember, no matter what you're going through, love has the power to transform your life. Keep believing in the miracle that might be just around the corner.